In 2013, Hollywood brought the amazing clash between mecha and monster to the big screen, with the smash hit blockbuster Atlantic Rim. Huh? Yeah, no, that's definitely the one, right? This masterpiece was made by the Asylum, a company notorious for the fresh and original ideas they bring to the table. So yeah, no, these guys' whole deal is that they make rip-off movies that they release super close to the actual release of what they're stealing from, and then base their profit entirely on the fact that people will get confused by the DVDs. No, I'm not kidding, but I wish I was. And honestly, the problem is not that they do it, it's the fact that it works. God, why are people so dumb? But they did make Sharknado, so all of their sins are forgiven. As well as Titanic 2. What? So obviously it goes without saying that Atlantic Rim is a complete ripoff of Pacific Rim, right down to the name. How this doesn't violate copyright law, but using 0.5 seconds of Gangsta's Paradise does is completely beyond me. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a greedy multi-million-dollar company. The main appeal of Pacific Rim are the giant robots beating the shit out of giant monsters. And so naturally, that's what Atlantic Rim banks on. But as you can see, Atlantic Rim went for a much more realistic and grounded approach. Oh dear God. Also, the script was rewritten 9 times. That's always a good sign. So let's just watch it. I've always been curious about this movie ever since its alluring, crappy rip-offness caught my eye one day on Google. Time to finally put to rest my curiosity as to whether it's actually as amazing as it looks. The movie begins with a monster appearing out of the ocean, and oh boy, this is the level of quality I'm to expect. This is gonna be one hell of a ride. Oh no. We then cut to the most realistic looking military base I've ever seen, in which we're introduced to the giant robots of this movie, referred to as Project Armada, which is actually proposed by a representative of NASA, for whatever reason.
Dr. Margaret Adams, Operations Bureau Chief NASA, this is Specialist Stone, sir.
Oh yes, of course, Project Armada.
And the massive crowd of like 5 entire people at this base are just shocked to hear that.
Computer simulations show we can go another 1,000.
You do understand that there's a big difference between what goes on in the simulator and what takes place in reality, correct?
Man, must have been an easy Oscars that year. Also, that eye patch. We then meet the main characters, Red and his girlfriend, I think, who are just completely wasted.
Now get back to base.
Base. You know what base would like to do to you?
I don't think they're acting here. Hey, at least it explains how they convinced people to be in this movie. Then they run into some guy who very barely provokes them, and then we're meant to cheer as an epic fight scene breaks out.
Yo, back up, bitch. Don't touch her.
The editing and set design here is below the level of a 2013 Smosh skit.
Why the rush?
Because it's a search and rescue.
For what?
Oil rig.
Wait, we're missing an oil rig?
Yeah, how do you lose an oil rig?
Pretty sure everyone in this movie is drunk, actually. The third pilot is Jim, who later turns out to be the best part of the movie. He's amazing. The 3 of them then suit up, and as you can see here, only 10 minutes into this, that is already the best movie ever made. They are literally wearing diver suits, and the CG looks like it's straight out of Spy Kids. Oh no. Seriously, these guys look like they're from the PlayStation 1. My favorite part of the robots in this movie, aside from the, designs, don't even get me started on that, is that they literally just call them bots.
Something's wrong. Her bot's gone out.
We're just overflowing with creativity here. They then make their way into the depths, only to immediately experience some technical difficulties within 5 minutes of them being used. Maybe should have, tested those first. And already I can tell this is gonna be one of those movies where the only thing that happens is switching between a brief glimpse of the action and then a shot of people standing around and reacting to it for triple the amount of time. Because those are always so much fun.
Holy crap, what the hell is that? Jesus H. Christ, I'd love to be watching the news tonight.
This guy has one emotion throughout the entire movie.
I mean, can someone please tell me what the hell that thing was?
Yeah, can someone tell me what the hell that damn thing was? So they encounter some monster thingy and chase it very slowly through the ocean. Green and Blue were ordered not to pursue, and so their bots are shut down. But Red is out of range and gives chase anyway against orders.
Come on.
In pursuit of the kaiju thingy, Red surfaces on some beach. Absolutely no idea how he suddenly appeared like that, but man, that must be a deep trench. Wait, is that Smash Mouth? So then a bunch of army soldiers try shooting at it.
The bullets aren't penetrating!
I give up. That was great scene, guys, well done. We then get to see in this bit here why Pacific Rim had most of its fight scenes during the night. Because this looks like shit.
This thing's all over my ass, man!
They got a lot of force going there. As long as Red can hold up, hopefully he can hold up, he'll be alright.
Did they improv the whole script? Did they shoot the monster with a missile? This entire thing was edited by a guy who has seen like one After Effects tutorial, despite saving the day and being very excited about it.
Boom, boom! Yo, man, I was in the butt, and I got the monster pinned down on the ground. Got his jaws pried open all the way. I'm pinning it, I'm shaking, I'm fighting with him. Spitfire comes in, dude. He's got a full payload. 50 cal didn't even leave a scratch. He pulls up sharply. Spitfire balls up, dude. He comes in close.
Red is arrested for disobeying an order from his superior. Then all of a sudden, the entire city is destroyed and there's corpses everywhere, and this random guy comes out of nowhere, the sole survivor, and demands that they find his daughter.
I need some help. I can't find my daughter. She's 12 years old, about this tall, brown hair.
What's her name?
Alexandra.
I've basically stopped trying to understand the plot at this point, I'm just watching it. Jim, being the goddamn hero that he is, goes in to save her.
You like superheroes? I came to get you, but you have to trust me, okay?
Yes.
Right, you ever play piggyback? Squeeze me tight, okay? You promise? Hold on tight.
They hired this kid to nod. That's her entire job.
Oh my god, Jim's in there!
You know, it's times like these where I realize that acting is actually a really hard job, and I suddenly have a lot more respect for every other movie I've ever seen.
Way to go, Superfly!
Well done, team, we saved this one girl in this city full of dead people. So then Red gets thrown into some jail cell because apparently punishing him is of the highest priority right now while the city is on fire. And then they just let him out anyway. Hey man, let me out. No. But I'm sorry. Fine. So they let him out to go to some party or something, and we're treated to some scene where the two of them dance while some stock footage of the horrific aftermath is shown. This is, what is happening? And then Eye Patch McGee over here explains that the monsters have been living under the sea for millions of years and that they found one more egg.
We discovered that these things are hundreds of millions of years old. They gestate for thousands of years, just laying their eggs in crude oil.
That explains nothing as to how they got there. Then another one conveniently hatches and attacks the base. We know bullets do nothing, but let's keep shooting it anyway. Well done, guys. We then spend an ungodly amount of time trying to get Red out of his cell. Almost like that was a bad idea. Yeah! And then they just blow it up with some bombs and assume all is good. Why do they even need the robots if missiles and all that do the trick? Like, what?
So what are you gonna do now that this is over, Jim?
Whoa, Superfly here? After he helped slay the Titans that almost escaped from the bowels of Tartarus? What are you gonna do, Superfly?
I mean, the way I'm feeling right now, I might just go make a memorial for all the people that died today.
Wow, way to kill the mood, man. But then, in our most exciting development in this boring-ass movie so far, it turns out that Tracy is actually cheating on Red with our boy Jim. Yes! Forced love triangle subplot! Atlantic Rim, everybody! Fucking hour into the movie!
We kissed one time. We were drunk.
A few weeks ago, we...
Woo! You almost gave me a heart attack, buddy. As long as that's all it was, nothing more. Jim.
Except it's never resolved. This is the first and last time we hear about it. Why? Then they're deployed again, and wow, surprise, there's more monsters, and the NASA woman gives them a magic headband that makes their link to their bot stronger. Poor guys, they must have watched this shitty movie. You know, I just realized, how do they see? The screens in front of them sure don't show anything. I don't know why I care, honestly. So then one last monster appears and the military sends like 5 guys to go shoot at it with guns. Wow, surprised that didn't work. Just look at this kaiju design. This is amazing. And so now that we've made it all the way through this agonizing train wreck, let's hope that the build up to the final battle was at least worth it.
Woo! I think I can smell his stank-ass breath from here.
It was not. It was not worth it.
Yeah!
You know, this movie only goes for about an hour and a half, and yet it somehow manages to feel longer than about 20 Avengers Endgames. After Red punches her a lot and the other two stand there and do absolutely nothing, it's only then that they decide to tell them that they have melee weapons.
Hell yeah, now we're talking.
Yeah, I think I'm getting it, guys. Then Eye Patch calls up a nuke because apparently the military in these movies only ever have one solution every single time something like this happens. So then they have to jam the nuke, and Eye Patch goes all crazy and betrays the Admiral in a super suspenseful scene.
You know what the secret is to shooting somebody? 3! Never hesitate.
Wow, that was amazing, guys. Then Red frickin' flies the monster into space with the nuke and then blows it up. And then he falls back to Earth and thankfully destroys the other bots, and then the day is saved. And thus ends the worst hour and a half of my life. Fucking Christ, I can't believe I subjected myself to that. That wasn't even funny bad like Sharknado is, it's just horrendously boring. 60% of it is just army dudes standing in front of computers and shouting things. I have to say though, probably the best student art film I've ever seen in my entire life. Also, it cost $500,000 to make, and I hate our species. Also, they made a sequel. Please don't make me watch it. Atlantic Rim Resurrection, baby! Oh god, no! And so begins another hour and a half of pure pain. Hey, as long as we don't hear the troll song, it'll still be a better sequel than Uprising was. Although, I can't say it's looking good as it begins in the exact same way as the first movie, with the most shitty CG render of a monster thing coming out of the water and destroying some stuff. That was weird. And yet another beach is attacked. I gotta say, they really overhauled the effects this time round. The graphics almost look like they're from the PS2 now. We meet some guy named Roth, who we learn was the designer of the Armada suits, meaning he was the one responsible for this. And he's then immediately kidnapped by some buff military dudes.
This is gonna be as bad as it was the first time. Probably worse.
No, God, please no, don't be worse. The bots look less terrible in this one, I have to say, but they're so vastly different from the last ones that it's hard to believe they're from the same movie series. And yet somehow they're even more generic. I mean, I guess at least they fixed whatever the hell the head was meant to be. But that means that whatever this thing is on the cover is not actually the robot used in the movie. For better or worse.
Nice to meet you.
I know who you are. I read your theory on quantum interconnectivity. Yeah. I thought it was very well thought out, you know, theoretically speaking, of course, but would it really work in reality? I don't know.
I think I've come to the realization that these movies were written and made by aliens who tried really hard to emulate human behavior but didn't properly understand it. It's the only thing that could explain this. We're introduced to 3 new pilots. In fact, not a single one of the characters returned from the first one. Probably because the actors sobered up by then. No idea what happened to them, but honestly, I can't say I miss them. Except Jim. I miss you, Jim. I gotta say, it looks like the budget was more than $5 this time. It still doesn't look good, but it looks a little better. I'm gonna regret saying that, aren't I?
So we changed the operating system?
Yeah. We on RoboNet.
Are you kidding? My interface was designed to work with Python.
What?
Man, do you remember how one of the best parts about Pacific Rim was all the military jargon or the background characters spent the entire movie shouting at a screen instead of showing us the one thing that anyone is actually watching this film for? Man, that was the best part. Gotta say, they really upped the fight scenes this time round.
You are clear to engage, Hammer. I say again, you are clear to engage.
Early man. Clear to engage.
Then they hit it with some rockets and wow, that was easy. They assume it's dead, only to find out that, whoa, it's not dead, no way! All it takes to fell one of the bots is a bit of flying rock that hits Hammer, the pilot of the red bot. Just saying these things could totally take the Jaegers in a fight, okay?
Look, hold on, you can see air.
What?
Air coming out of his cockpit.
How the fuck do you see air?
The impact from the tank probably knocked out the filtration, right? So we have to seal the valve. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to salvage the ECU. Get the,
oh my god, who cares? Oh yeah, I gotta seal the valve to repair the flux capacitor to ensure that the tachyon units don't discharge any unobtainium. I'm a scientist!
Shit, come on! I don't have a full team, I better go bed.
Oh my god, he's dying! That piece of rock just hit him so hard! And he died. He literally died. That was it. Man, good thing these guys are highly trained pilots. If only they trained them to deal with rocks. The other 2 pilots learn of Hammer's untimely death at the hands of those dastardly rocks and were subjected to some more Oscar-worthy performances in the form of their reactions.
Damn!
And then the monster, like, gives birth to hundreds of little monsters. Man, good thing those cockpits are made out of glass.
He's dead.
I want them dead.
Dude, it wasn't the monster that killed him, it was that damn rock. It literally didn't even touch him. You should be swearing vengeance on all the flying rocks in the world. So then one of the pilots gets like sick or something because she got hit by kaiju goo. And so then we spend the next 10 minutes trying to decide who else is going to fight the kaiju, since these geniuses only decided 3 people ever would be prepped to pilot. Eventually the doctor and this guy volunteer and go fight the spiders, which have merged into some giant monster thingy. So basically we spend a majority of the movie building up these 3, and to have 2 of them die and then shaft the other one for the final fight. Great.
Got a lot of spiders headed your way.
Yeah, I know, Doc, but this damn AI... Serious lag.
They sound like a bunch of salty tournament players. Bro, it's the lag, bro. Okay, I take back everything I said about this movie looking better than the last one. And after that riveting fight scene, the monsters then make passionate love and morph into an even bigger monster. And then this guy sacrifices himself to kill the big monster, and it's meant to be all sad, except it's both pointless and not sad because all he's done is destroy one of the 2 bots left, because killing this thing doesn't mean the whole species is dead. The whole point of the final battle of Pacific Rim was to close the breach to stop the kaiju coming through. It made sense for that to be a last-ditch effort. But this is just one guy. And then it didn't even kill him anyway. So the doctor has to do whatever the hell this is, and then he wins, and at this point in the movie I was begging for death. And that's it. Thank God.
Well, James, I'm glad you're not dead.
Me too.
I hate this movie. Every single one of those names should be ashamed. Atlantic Rim Resurrection may have a higher production quality, at least in terms of how it looks. Definitely not in the script area.
Go on my signal. Ready?
But somehow it's even more agonizing than the first one. It's just people talking for hours. They just keep talking about what they're going to do. I had to take breaks when watching these, but especially during Resurrection. If you can make it through the whole thing in one go, you're a much stronger person than I. I'm amazed they managed to top the first one, honestly. I didn't think they'd do it, but they did. Still more tonally consistent than Pacific Rim Uprising was. At least both of these movies are shit. Still hate you. The worst thing about the Atlantic Rim films is they're just so unforgivably boring. They both take themselves way too seriously, but in spite of that, they're not even like hilariously bad. I was hoping to laugh, but I came out of it feeling kind of sad. Also, with 3 hours stolen from me forever. I really don't understand why the Asylum makes so many movies that are so heavily dependent on CG, when their CG is on the level of like bowling alley strike animations. Oh wait, I know why. Because they don't care! These people belong in an asylum! Instead of something goofy or begrudgingly enjoyable, what you're left with are 2 movies filled with supposedly smart people standing around and telling each other smart things about what's going to happen, and then that thing actually happening for 5 seconds before repeating for 3 hours. As well as some military people shouting at each other. For 3 hours. If you think they didn't look that bad in this video, that's because for your sake I cut out basically all of the filler, which is legit like 90% of the movies, and only showed the parts worth talking about. I'm not kidding when I say that these movies are just people talking to each other. That's literally all that happens. Wow, who would have thought that the crappy Ripoff movies would have been crappy? What did we learn today, kids? Well, I hope my suffering was at least worth it so that you never, ever have to watch these movies. Please don't. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check me out on Twitter, send anything to my PO box if you want your package open in a video, and check out my second channel, Button Smashers. And with that, I'm gonna go watch Pacific Rim to drown out the pain. God damn, it hurts.